Good morning, everybody. This is Ricky, and welcome to Hope for Today. You know, one of the things we try to keep before you constantly, probably more than any other subject matter here at Hope for Today, is the primacy that you in time with Jesus needs to have in your life. In fact, every couple of weeks we usually bring that up, begging the question, what does it look like for you to rhythmically in your life steal away from the antics of the world and get close and get connected to Jesus? One of the things we've said in the past is that, you know what, every now and then you just need tune-ups in your spirit. And one of the things we saw Jesus do was steal away from the disciples, steal away from the crowds, and every morning he would climb into the mountains just to spend time with the Father. And we think that's important for all of us today, in the busyness and the antics and the loudness and the craziness of the world, to constantly steal away from the noise to get to a place where you and Jesus can connect in a quiet and serene setting. Some of us need an hour a day. Some of us only have 5 minutes a day, but it's not so much about the time. It's about the intent and you hearing from God to hear clearly His voice and His direction and His peace over your life. I guess what I'm trying to say is this: are you doing the work every day, sometime throughout the day, to get quiet? To turn the noise of life down and turn the beautiful sounds of God's presence up in your soul. I had a buddy who played high school football, and this was down in Tennessee, and this football coach was old school, you know, chewing tobacco in his lip and cowboy hat and all the stereotypical things of a true Southerner, right? A man's man kind of guy. And my buddy who played football, all the kids would always come into the room and they'd get ready for a team meeting. And of course, they're high school kids, so they're throwing stuff and spitballing and you know, just slapping each other and just having a whole thing. But this coach would just come in and he would look at everybody and he would just say this: get quiet. That's it. Get quiet. And every kid knew they better shut up because coach is getting ready to say something. And you always want to listen to what coach says, because the only way you're going to win the game that week is to listen in on what your coach has to say to you. I want to drop a word that we've dropped here before at Hope for Today. Here it is. It's not that God ain't speaking. It's whether or not we're listening. It's not that God is not speaking. He's always speaking. The question is, are we listening, and are we doing what it takes to properly heed and hear God's voice? So I just want to encourage you in your life every day, find a moment to get quiet, because who knows, sometimes God's loudest when our soul is the most quiet. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12. This is something that the prophet Elijah had learned. Antics all around him, fighting against Jezebel and Ahab, all sorts of noise in his life. Perplexed, he was on the run, really needing to hear from God, and God showed him the power of a quiet voice. The Bible says that all of a sudden the winds came and there was just a violent tempest that swirled around Elijah, but then it said that the voice of God was not there. And after the winds left, then it says that an earthquake shook the earth and it was turbulent, but then it said that the voice of God was not there either. After the winds and after the earthquake came the fire, consuming everything around Elijah. But then it said that God's voice was not there either. Guess what happened after that? Verse 12, and after the earthquake of fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And from there, God goes on to speak to Elijah in a whisper, to encourage him, to correct him, to direct him, to affirm him, and to set his course on a trajectory that ultimately landed him in victory in his life. Did you get it? God's often not in the earthquakes, or not in the fires, or not in the wind. He is in our willingness to get quiet before him so that he might have the platform in our souls that he needs in order to speak. Get quiet today and see, won't God get loud? That's Hope for Today. I'll see you next time.